The 2026 F1 driver market could see one of the most significant shakeups in modern Formula One history. And the ones in the middle of the shakeup aren't the ones you're expecting, as it will all be centered around George Russell and Max Verstappen. And, even crazier, it's about a straight swap, and Russell has already started contact with Red Bull. So, what is even going on right now? And why is Russell in talks with Red Bull and Horner? Red Bull has reportedly started informal conversations with Russell, and defending champion Verstappen may be on the cusp of activating an escape clause that would put the entire grid into disarray. Could Russell replace Verstappen at Red Bull? And could Verstappen make the switch to Mercedes? Or what if he took a break from the sport altogether? The possibilities are endless. The stakes could hardly be higher, and if one domino falls, the entire paddock may be scrambling. According to rumors, Russell and Horner have had a number of casual conversations in recent weeks. While this does not signal an imminent departure, it does indicate that Red Bull is actively planning for a future in which Max Verstappen may leave. And, with the Dutchman's performance clause rumored to kick in by mid-season if he falls outside the top two in the championship standings, silly season could burst sooner rather than later. Meanwhile, George Russell remains unaffected. From my side, there is literally no stress, no worries whatsoever, he told Sky Sports. When it comes to contracts, everyone gets so excited about it. Drivers have had contracts, and if they don't perform, they get booted out. So I'm just excited to go racing this weekend, focus on performance, and the future sorts itself out. His cool demeanor is justified. Russell has been one of the most consistent drivers in 2025. Finishing P5 or above in all competitive sessions. He has significant influence with Mercedes, especially because team principal Toto Wolff has shown trust in the Russell-Antonelli duo, while downplaying previous interest in Verstappen. Russell hasn't signed a new contract yet, and, with the Mercedes seat looking increasingly appealing for 2026, due to their expected engine advantage under the new regulations, Verstappen's prospective availability might change everything. Wolff's enthusiasm for Verstappen is a shared secret, even though he has openly cooled on the concept. If Verstappen's clause is triggered this summer, Mercedes might step in. But Aston Martin, with Saudi funding and a Honda collaboration, has the means to entice Verstappen. One radical suggestion? Verstappen may take a break in 2026, watching from the sidelines and selecting the ideal seat for 2027. Formula One's annual driver market silly season is already in full gear for 2026, with some intriguing rumors circulating around the paddock. Could Max Verstappen really be considering a hiatus? Is Red Bull scouting about George Russell in an attempt to pull him away from Mercedes as a replacement? Could the two drivers potentially swap teams? While things do not appear to be as explosive as they were last year, when Lewis Hamilton's move to Ferrari shattered the grid, there is still room for surprises. Although much of the attention has been on Verstappen, who has kept his mouth shut amid rumors, the situation with Mercedes driver Russell is equally intriguing. While his recent form makes it a no-brainer for Mercedes to keep him, his continued availability means that someone else may make an attempt to grab him. It is understood that he is already being contacted about 2026 prospects. Despite Red Bull Motorsport advisor Helmut Marko's claims that his team was very concerned about losing Verstappen, the reality is that the silly season is in a holding pattern. Verstappen is not currently a free agent, as he is under contract until 2028, but he does have escape clauses. According to high-level sources, Verstappen's release clause kicks in if he is outside of the top two in the championship by the summer break. That is why Red Bull's immediate priority is performance. Problematic races like Bahrain must be the exception. A strong push through the summer, especially with the flexi-wing clampdown potentially messing up the order after the Spanish Grand Prix, could be enough to keep Verstappen in contention. However, if Verstappen slips behind both McLaren drivers or notices Mercedes gaining speed, the clause may be used, causing a cascade effect. If Verstappen uses his leave option, Mercedes would be the most natural choice, especially because Russell is still unsigned. However, if Mercedes waits too long for Max, Red Bull has the potential to completely change the narrative. According to sources, Russell and Horner have had some informal conversations. If Red Bull learns Verstappen is leaving, they may try to sign Russell early, preventing a collapse. Russell would be a good lead driver at Red Bull, and if Verstappen does not go to Mercedes, Brackley could be taken off guard. This ripple impact could cause a tsunami of changes throughout the field. If Verstappen joins Aston Martin, enticed by Honda and a large financial deal from Saudi investors, it will leave Red Bull and Mercedes scrambling. If he takes a break, the market will collapse. If Red Bull recognizes that Verstappen is considering leaving, preemptively courting Russell is wise. And the British driver's calm words about his contract status indicate that he is aware that he is in high demand. "Performance is our currency," Russell explained. "If you perform, everything's good." Red Bull's early bid for Russell would provide them some cover. It would also prevent Mercedes from dominating the market, especially if Verstappen does not arrive in Brackley. In the most catastrophic situation, Verstappen quits Red Bull, Russell left Mercedes, and neither team gets their preferred driver. Max Verstappen remains at the center of all this. Mercedes is his most competitive choice if he leaves. Wolff has said that talks with Russell are progressing, but he also left the door open. "We're not in a rush, it has to be the right decision." Aston Martin is the wild card, with Honda engines, vast resources, and probable influence over the project. Reuniting with Adrian Newey might also be appealing, but the team has yet to provide the results Verstappen demands. A sabbatical is still on the table. It would allow Verstappen to observe which teams are most suited to the 2026 regulations before returning in 2027. During that period, he may look into a Le Mans program or other racing options. Russell wants to stay at Mercedes, but only if he is prioritized. If Verstappen enters, Russell might get forced out. Red Bull would have an opening, but what if they pursued Lando Norris instead? McLaren may then enter the market, setting off another domino. If Mercedes signs Verstappen and Red Bull signs Norris, Russell may find himself looking for a seat elsewhere, potentially at Alpine, where his former F3 boss Oliver Oakes now leads the team. In the worst-case scenario, he may sit out 2026, as Bottas did, waiting for the next shuffle. While Mercedes and Aston Martin are the most talked about destinations for Max Verstappen, other opportunities may present themselves. McLaren would be an interesting choice. Though it may seem unlikely considering Lando Norris's notoriety, McLaren's ascent and the performance of the MCL39 could pique Verstappen's curiosity if Norris considers a switch to Red Bull. Another potential destination is Audi, which will enter the grid in 2026 via Sauber. With significant expenditure and long-term goals, Audi might position Verstappen to play a key part in establishing a dynasty. Although less competitive in the short term, it may appeal to his sense of legacy. Then there's the wildcard Formula E, or WEC. Verstappen has already stated that he enjoys racing outside of F1 and may utilize a sabbatical year to investigate various disciplines, particularly Le Mans. If he takes a break from F1, it could be less about rest and more about racing on his own terms. What's the bottom line? Verstappen has all the cards, and he might yet surprise us all. The 2026 silly season has the potential to be the most significant driver shakeup since Hamilton's Ferrari bombshell. Russell's and Verstappen's decisions are crucial. The market may erupt once the summer break begins. Verstappen holds the key. If he stays, everything will be fine. If he leaves, anarchy follows. Red Bull, Mercedes, Aston Martin, and McLaren may all be affected. Russell, depending on timing, might be F1's most valued free agent or its most vulnerable star. So, what comes next? Will Verstappen go all in with Red Bull's 2026 gamble? Will Russell sign an extension, Mercedes, or will he be caught off guard by Verstappen's move? Could we witness a shock swap or a chain reaction that puts every top seat in play? What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.